No dude. There will never be a season 3 Gravity Falls, sorry. Rumors. Hey, Gravity Falls fans. Want the latest juicy rumors about a possible season 3, spin-offs, or what Alex Hirsch might be cooking up next? Stick around for some hilarious speculation, fan theories, and wild what-ifs. Could we finally get that Grunkle Stan and Ford road trip adventure? Or maybe a Bill Cipher rehab sitcom? Who knows? But don't forget, hit subscribe and tap that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new updates. Oh, and don't forget to follow for more mysteries and chaos. Stay weird. The context of this thread is Gravity Falls. Make this triple this size. No dude. There will never be a season 3, sorry. Just a heads up to everyone, newer fans and older ones, cause I keep on seeing people spread false rumors and thinking that this will be revealed soon. But no, there will never be a season 3 of Gravity Falls. Ever. Period. This has been spoken on so many times by Alex, it's actually crazy. Alex loves this world he made and his characters and story, but he ended it, and he knows that making another season would tarnish it, which is why he decided on ending it in 2 seasons. Now this doesn't mean there won't be some sort of announcement of something about Gravity Falls. Clearly Alex is not done making Gravity Falls content, clearly evidenced by Journal 3, Lost Legends and now Book of Bill. There could be a spin-off short series, a movie of some sort, or, I hope so, a video game or something like that, but there will not be a continuation of the show and its main story. If there is any spin-off of any kind, it will mainly be about Stan and Ford, or some side character. It will not be about Dipper or Mabel, or take place in Gravity Falls. The main story is done. The story about the twin Gravity Falls is done, and Dipper and Mabel are gone and for us, never to be seen again. A season 3 is not coming, maybe something else, but nothing about continuing the main story. Please keep this in mind and stop spreading false rumors, smiley face. Thank you. Fans' thoughts about extension. Story 1, the end, or is it? Alright, people, I get it. You want Gravity Falls back. But let's be honest, Alex Hirsch has already wrapped this up with a pretty little bow and moved on. He ended it at 2 seasons, and no, your petitions aren't going to change his mind. I mean, who doesn't love the thrill of a good ol' unfulfilled cliffhanger, right? But let's indulge in fantasy for a second. Imagine this: Hirsch, after 7 years of dodging fans' desperate cries, wakes up one morning, stretches, and says, you know what? Fine, here's season 3. Just for you. What would happen? The world would implode, and Gravity Falls fans would lose their collective minds faster than you could say, Mystery Shack. But don't hold your breath, Hirsch respects the show too much. After all, why risk ruining it? But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. We could get more graphic novels, and the Book of Bill shows that Hirsch isn't done yet. I mean, nothing says, I'm not over this series, like releasing a creepy villain's memoir. Maybe we'll get lucky with a spin-off where Stan and Ford just argue about which universe they should retire in next. It's bound to be riveting content. Story 2, When Dreams of Season 3 Die. Oh, the eternal optimism of fans. Even though Hirsch has said no 1,000 times, there are still those of us hoping Disney will slap a fat paycheck in front of him, and he'll cave. Money talks, they say, right? Except, in this case, Hirsch is apparently immune to the siren call of a Disney-sized bank account. I know, tragic, but what if, just for fun, Disney sent him a check the size of Mount Everest? Would he relent? Probably not. Hirsch would probably frame it on his wall under a sign that says, "Not for sale." But maybe we could guilt him into creating another comic series about random cryptids in Gravity Falls that only appear in 1 episode. Or we could always get that video game everyone's been dreaming about where you play as Bill Cipher in some dimension-bending rehab. Surely that's where Alex has been hiding all his new ideas. We've heard rumors about a Netflix show, but until then, we're left in limbo, grasping at conspiracy theories like, what if Bill Cipher has a redemption arc? Yup, that's the future we deserve. Story 3, Stan and Ford, the grumpy adventures we all need. Forget Dipper and Mabel, the real stars are clearly Stan and Ford. I mean, two grumpy old men getting into interdimensional hijinks. Who doesn't want that? Gravity Falls, Grunkle Adventures would be an instant hit. Picture this, Stan and Ford bickering their way through alien worlds, surviving on sarcasm and grunkle ingenuity, while occasionally running into beings that want to vaporize them. Sounds like prime Disney Plus material, right? The banter alone would be worth it. Ford's over-the-top nerdy enthusiasm for science would clash with Stan's "who cares about logic when I've got a con to run" attitude. Imagine Stan hustling some space creature out of their life savings while Ford lectures him on the moral implications of interdimensional economics. The comedic possibilities are endless. And if you're worried about Dipper and Mabel, don't be. They'll cameo every once in a while, probably sending postcards from normal, boring adulthood, while Stan and Ford continue being the coolest grunkles in the multiverse. Story 4, Bill Cipher, The Rehab Chronicles. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if, just what if, Bill Cipher wasn't the absolute embodiment of chaos and evil? Maybe he's just misunderstood. Maybe what Bill really needs is a good therapist and a redemption arc. I can see it now, Gravity Falls, Cipher's second chance. Bill's first day in rehab. Hey, I may have tried to enslave the human race, but can we just let bygones be bygones? Cue awkward group therapy sessions where he attempts to bond with other reformed villains over their shared love of global domination. By episode 3, he's enrolled in Chaotic Energy Management 101 and is learning to channel his destructive tendencies into more productive hobbies, like knitting or interpretive dance. The potential for sitcom-style chaos here is endless. By the finale, Bill could be a lovable anti-hero who only uses his reality-warping powers to prank Stan and Ford. Story 5, Video Game Dreams. Let's be real, we don't need a third season. What we really need is a Gravity Falls open-world RPG. You could roam the town, solve mysteries, and uncover new secrets hidden deep in the forest. Maybe even face off against anomalies that escaped through Ford's portal. Sounds awesome, right? Imagine this. You start out as Dipper, wandering around the mystery shack doing odd jobs for Seuss while occasionally running into Mabel, who's off somewhere making sweaters for woodland creatures. You'd solve puzzles, unlock secret journal entries, and level up your cryptid hunting skills. Maybe, if you play your cards right, you even get to team up with Stan and Ford on some wild quest through alternate dimensions. And if that's not enough to satisfy the fandom, throw in a multiplayer mode where you get to play as Bill Cipher and mess with the fabric of spacetime. You're welcome, Alex. Free idea right there. Story 6, Mabel's Crafting Channel, Season 3. Forget the interdimensional adventures and conspiracies. We all know the real Gravity Falls sequel should be a Mabel spin-off where she starts her own YouTube crafting channel. We could call it Crafting Falls, Glitter and Chaos. It would be 12 hours of Mabel's endless enthusiasm for glue guns, glitter, and puffy paint, with occasional cameos from Waddles and Dipper. Just picture it, every episode is filled with increasingly wild DIY projects. By Season 3, she's built an entire amusement park out of pipe cleaners and googly eyes, while Dipper is off in the background muttering about the scientific implications of pipe cleaner structural integrity. Ford would be a reluctant guest, trying to explain how quantum mechanics can be applied to crafting, while Stan steals the supplies for his next scam. The finale? A glitter-covered explosion that sends Mabel to another dimension, leading into crafting in space, the inevitable spin-off. Story 7, Dipper and Mabel's post-graduation adventures. While we all love a good Gravity Falls mystery, I think it's time we got a glimpse of what Dipper and Mabel are up to after their Gravity Falls days. Maybe Season 3 could be Gravity Falls, the college years, where Dipper is trying to focus on his studies, but he keeps getting distracted by strange happenings on campus. Mabel, meanwhile, is too busy running an underground sweater empire. In this hypothetical third season, Dipper would be the serious student constantly chasing down cryptid sightings between classes, while Mabel's biggest problem is figuring out how to mass-produce her personalized sweaters for her new Etsy shop. Meanwhile, Ford pops in occasionally to guest lecture on quantum theory, while Stan shows up to teach a business ethics class, where his only lesson is always have an escape plan. Story 8, Ford Pines, Dimension Hopping Tour Guide. Let's talk about the true Gravity Falls sequel we deserve, Ford Pines as a dimension hopping tour guide. Yes, you read that right. In this spin-off, Ford turns his portal hopping adventures into a side hustle, leading tour groups through various alternate realities. Episode 1. Welcome to Dimension 46 Backwards. Please don't feed the time-bending creatures or you'll be stuck here for eternity. The best part? Ford's tours are always on the brink of disaster because Stan somehow tags along, hoping to sell knockoff souvenirs from each dimension. The two bicker their way through space-time, narrowly escaping disaster at every turn. Throw in some cryptic interdimensional messages from Bill's cipher just to keep things interesting, and you've got a solid hit. Story 9, Grunkles Gone Wild. As the Grunkles venture through time and space, hilarity ensues. Every small town they visit has its own mystery, from cursed carnival rides to disappearing diners. And every stop, Ford tries to scientifically document everything, while Stan tries to profit off it. Maybe Ford gets trapped in a ghost loop while Stan figures out how to win big at a supernatural blackjack table. The chemistry between these two is gold, and watching them navigate interdimensional hijinks could honestly outshine any continuation of the main Gravity Falls series. They could even run into a version of Dipper and Mabel from an alternate dimension, one where the two kids have become bored adults working mundane jobs in Normality Falls. The emotional payoff would be seeing Stan and Ford realize that their life of chaos and adventure is exactly what makes them so great. They aren't meant for quiet lives, they're meant for the weird, the wild, and the unexplained. Imagine Stan trying to con a three-headed monster into buying fake cryptid insurance while Ford looks on in sheer horror. By the end of the road trip, they've managed to save the multiverse, again, but not without blowing up several dimensions in the process. The movie ends with them riding off into another sunset, bickering about whose fault it was that they left Bill's cipher in charge of their RV. Story 10, The Grunkle Game Show. Forget Season 3. What the Gravity Falls fandom really needs is a full-blown Grunkle game show. Hosted by Stan and Ford, of course. Every episode, a mix of bizarre contestants, cryptids, aliens, and even regular humans, would compete in ridiculous, reality-bending challenges. Stan's goal is to swindle the contestants out of their prize money, while Ford tries to keep some semblance of order in the chaos. And obviously, Bill's cipher would make appearances, rigging the odds and throwing in a few mind-bending puzzles just to spice things up. Imagine a challenge where contestants have to survive in alternate dimensions while navigating cryptic clues written in cipher code. Ford would be busy nerding out over the complexity of the puzzles, while Stan's just yelling at everyone to not die. The winner gets some outlandish prize, maybe a rare cryptid as a pet, or, more likely, one of Stan's old Mystery Shack items with dubious value. The whole thing would be a meta-commentary on reality shows, combining the absurdity of Gravity Falls lore with a game show structure. In the end, nobody wins except Stan, who's made off with all the contestants' money through a loophole. Classic. While it's clear that Alex Hirsch has no intention of making a third season of Gravity Falls, the universe he created is so rich and detailed that there are endless possibilities for more content in different forms. Instead of continuing Dipper and Mabel's story, we could explore other corners of this world. The recent content, like Journal 3 and Book of Bill, suggests there's room to expand without compromising the main storyline. A spin-off featuring Stan and Ford would be perfect for diving into their backstory. Imagine all the adventures and anomalies they encountered before the events of the show. Their dynamic is also interesting enough to stand on its own. Even if we don't get a continuation of the main series, there's potential for a video game, a mini-series, or even a movie. Honestly, keeping Gravity Falls alive through other media is better than extending the main story and risking overdoing it. Let's keep this masterpiece intact and hope Alex has more tricks up his sleeve. It's fascinating to think about the possibility of more Gravity Falls content without focusing on Dipper and Mabel. I love the idea of exploring other characters or events within the same universe. One concept that stands out is an anthology-style series based on the town's cryptids and mysteries, much like what we see in Lost Legends. The show itself hints at a larger world with infinite possibilities. Alex Hirsch created a world filled with hidden mysteries and untold stories, and while it's clear that he wants to keep the core story as is, there's room for so much more in different mediums. Spin-offs, short films, even a video game where we explore different aspects of Gravity Falls could be on the table. I'd love to see a focus on Stan and Ford's earlier adventures, or even explore a more in-depth backstory on Bill Cipher. The key is to respect the original show's integrity while satisfying our craving for more of this magical world. What excites me about the potential for future Gravity Falls content is how much there still is to explore. Even though the show ended on a high note, it doesn't mean there aren't more stories to tell. Take Stan and Ford, for example. So much of their history, particularly Ford's time spent dimension hopping, is rich with untapped potential. A spin-off focusing on their adventures would not only bring back beloved characters but also allow Alex Hirsch to maintain the integrity of the original story. There's also a lot of room for experimentation in other forms of media, like graphic novels, short films, or even a video game. The Journal 3 and Book of Bill prove that fans still have an appetite for Gravity Falls, and expanding in ways that don't directly touch the main storyline would keep the magic alive without diminishing what made the show so special. I think it's great that Alex Hirsch has decided to close the book on Gravity Falls after 2 seasons. That kind of restraint shows true respect for the story. But just because we won't get a 3rd season doesn't mean we've seen the last of this universe. There are so many side characters and untold stories that could be explored in future projects. Personally, I'd love to see a spin-off about Stan and Ford's adventures. The dynamic between the two brothers was one of the highlights of the series, and their history is so deep and interesting. A graphic novel, a short series, or even a movie focusing on their time before they reunited in Gravity Falls would be amazing. Plus, it keeps the world alive without tarnishing the original story. Alex is a genius when it comes to creating compelling, mysterious narratives, and I'm sure if he revisits the Gravity Falls universe, it'll be in a way that respects what came before. I completely understand why Alex Hirsch wouldn't want to continue Gravity Falls with a 3rd season. Sometimes the best stories are the ones that know when to end. But that doesn't mean we can't see more from this world in different forms. A spin-off centered around Stan and Ford's adventures could be a great way to delve deeper into their backstory. Imagine exploring the strange dimensions Ford traveled to or seeing the brothers on new adventures. Even more, a Gravity Falls video game would be incredible. The potential to explore the mysteries of the town, uncover hidden lore, and dive into the world Hirsch built would allow fans to engage with the story in a new way. The key is not to try and recreate the main series but to expand on the universe in a way that respects the original. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment and follow for more stories.